With mutants arriving in the MCU, we've got a hunch things are about to get really interesting. She-Hulk, attorney at law, has already dropped a few thrilling Easter eggs, and we can't wait to see where they take the show. In this video, we'll explore how teasing Wolverine and She-Hulk could be what brings her defeat, and why Daredevil fans think his appearance in the show is way out of character. Let's begin. First up, mutants are officially in the MCU. The mutants officially arrived in the MCU in Ms. Marvel, after it was revealed in the season finale that Kamala Khan had the X gene. This essentially means that there are possibly even more mutants in the pipeline strewn across the MCU, ready to make their appearance when the time's appropriate. Well, fans like us cannot help but be excited to see which legendary comic book characters could be making an appearance next. We definitely need more details about the future Wolverine, who gets to play him, and find out they've got the incredibly difficult job of filling the massive boots of Hugh Jackman. Earlier, we were able to pick up on a super subtle Easter egg that pretty much confirmed that Logan will be active in the MCU. Let's talk about the first Wolverine reference. In Episode 2, while Jennifer Walters is browsing the internet looking for a new job, the webpage shows a bunch of related article links, with one of them reading the headline, "Man Fights with Metal Claws in a Bar Brawl." You don't need to be a genius to figure out who they're talking about. It obviously has to be a direct reference to Wolverine, who, quite interestingly, was first introduced in the first X-Men movie, getting into a bar fight. Classic. Meanwhile, She-Hulk, attorney at law's possible introduction of Wolverine could have terrifying implications for Jennifer Walters herself, in the sense that she could totally be defeated. You might be thinking she's the She-Hulk, who could possibly be used to defeat her, but don't worry, we'll get into that real soon. Up next, how does Wolverine tie up into all of this? Wolverine first appeared in the Marvel comic books in The Incredible Hulk, issue number 180, so in that sense, he already has an existing history with the Hulk. But as the 6th episode of She-Hulk has implied, Wolverine could in fact be Jen's own undoing. Interesting twist. Other than Titania, She-Hulk's sassy nemesis played by the gorgeous Jamila Jamil, the show hasn't really introduced any challenging villains. But with the introduction of Intelligentsia, who is rapidly plotting Jennifer's downfall, this might change soon. If the final moments of She-Hulk's Episode 6 are any indication, Intelligentsia may have created a way to catch She-Hulk and perhaps steal her blood, and Wolverine's possible introduction could directly tie into this plan. Moving on to what could possibly pierce Jen's skin. Let's backtrack a little and remember the fact that Jen has actually been stabbed before, which had no effect whatsoever on her skin. Nice try, Wrecking Crew. So the failed stabbing implies that in order to properly steal her blood, She-Hulk's skin would need to be pierced with a specially made needle. Whoever ends up as her challenger would need a much stronger material to pierce that Hulk skin. Now, if we know anything about the MCU, there are only two substances capable of this task. The first is vibranium. Yep, the same bulletproof metal from Wakanda that was used to create Captain America's shield, and the second one is adamantium, a metal that fused with Logan's skeletal system to create his razor-sharp claws and other badass indestructible powers. Now, does Intelligentsia want to kill She-Hulk? With that thought in mind, if Intelligentsia were able to make an adamantium needle, they could use it to stab She-Hulk's skin. That means that the Wolverine reference might not simply be a tease, but a possible setup for a darker plot. Whoa. At this point, it doesn't seem like that Intelligentsia just wants to kill She-Hulk, since there really isn't much of a purpose or even motive for them to do this. Stealing her blood seems like a more meaningful addition to the entire plot. At least, that's what we think. Following up with how will Jen be possibly defeated? Thanks to her incredible strength, they won't be able to fight her into submission unless there was a more powerful Hulk. But they might also think about using someone to get closer to Jen, ultimately using the powers of seduction to blindside her into trusting the person and hence letting down her guard. Want to make a guess as to who that could be? Yep, it's most likely to be Josh, a probable villain introduced in Episode 6 with a thinly veiled disguise as her new love interest. Painfully obvious. Josh reveals very little about himself, which leaves viewers like us questioning what his real intentions are. In any case, he's either the unidentified villain at the end of Episode 6, or he's the mastermind behind everything. Who knows? If Josh is indeed the villain they're setting him up to be, then this really does follow the age-old plot of the guy meets girl, girl feels compelled to share her entire life with the guy, revealing some deep dark secret, and eventually the guy uses that info against her. And then the guy's evil grand plan is usually revealed at the end of a season finale. Sound familiar? Next, what could be Josh's master plan? Now, Josh could potentially expose a more vulnerable side to Jen and use it to capture her. While all of this makes sense, we still need a motive for why Josh and Intelligentsia could be potentially after She-Hulk's blood. Given the lab setup in episode 6, we might be able to deduce their plan to use She-Hulk's blood to actually create the Red Hulk. That could potentially be a powerful challenge for Jennifer Walters, right? Well, whether Intelligentsia has something personal against Jennifer or just wants to spray around some general evil and destruction, as all hero shows eventually do, remains to be seen. But the fact that adamantium exists, and Intelligentsia probably knows about it, spells a lot of danger in the coming conclusion for She-Hulk's debut season. Let's take a look at Daredevil's appearance. Speaking of the season, a new clip from She-Hulk Attorney at Law has revealed a rather different side of Daredevil, as he made an appearance in episode 8. Fans were quick to point out that the humor from Charlie Cox's hero character seemed to be out of place. The Disney Plus show has continued to impress critics since its debut as the first half-hour-long legal comedy from the MCU, but has also proven to be consistently divisive among many different audiences. In addition to several guest appearances from Tim Roth as an improved version of Emil Blonsky, the show revealed earlier that it would also be featuring Daredevil. With 7 episodes out of a scheduled 9-episode season, fans only had a quick look at Daredevil's helmet with a lot more left to the imagination. We were finally treated to a proper look at his return with the arrival of She-Hulk's episode 8, but was it really worth the wait? The fans seem to be really divided about this one. For some, his funny quips just seem way out of character for Matt Murdock. Now, what do the fans think? While some fans feel this newer version of Daredevil is too different from the original version they saw on the Netflix show, others seem to think that Cox's portrayal of Daredevil has never been one to shy away from the light-mindedness or the odd funny line here and there. In fact, we believe Matt Murdock has been quite frequent in showing off his more humorous side in a number of his original Marvel Comics appearances, and even the Netflix show managed to bring out his moments of levity. While the show may have been quite serious, portraying pretty graphic scenes of violence in most of the action sequences with much darker undertones, Daredevil's character still had several humorous lines throughout the 3 seasons the show ran for. A total pity that it was eventually canceled. Even during his interaction with his friends like Foggy Nelson and Karen, Murdock manages to joke around and provide an overall lighter mood. Finally, let's see how this Daredevil will be different from the last one. While time will only tell how different the MCU's version of Daredevil will be from the version we saw on Netflix, most fans seem to think that what we've seen so far in She-Hulk Attorney at Law isn't totally out of depth for the character. Other than the dialogue, this newer Daredevil is also a lot more athletic and heavily reliant on visual effects, which could actually lead to a much more divided audience compared to the one that gave rise to, thanks to the character's humor issue. While some fans may not be happy with this new portrayal of Charlie Cox's Daredevil, we're just glad to see him suited up and back to being the badass hero that he is after several years. That's a wrap for this video. Do you have any thoughts about the possible appearance of Wolverine and She-Hulk? Let us know in the comments down below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.